I'm Barb Torino, founder of the I Am Me First initiative. Simply put, this movement is about real people telling their real stories. We ask people to reflect on a significant event in their life that has shaped them into who they are today, and to write a 2 or 3 minute monologue describing that event and how they were impacted. We did this with Theater Guild last year, and it was met with great reviews. This time, we asked our cast to reflect on and describe a holiday experience, one that may be happy, funny, sad, or just memorable, and how it affected their life or view of themselves and their world. For me, I'm just a Jew with a Christmas tree. Don't let the name Torino fool you. I am a full-fledged Jew. I kept the name of my second husband for various reasons, but that's an I Am Me story for another day. We were not devout Jews, but my boys had bar mitzvahs, and we had family dinners on all the holidays. Now, looking back, I realized that one of my favorite holidays, and my children's favorite, has always been Christmas. Does that make me a faux Jew? As a kid, my family celebrated Hanukkah for 8 days, and then we celebrated Christmas, complete with a huge Christmas tree. My grandfather got dressed up as Santa Claus and distributed the presents on Christmas morning to all the kids. I think my parents took some flack for this from friends and family members who accused them of being hypocritical, but it never bothered them. Others said that we would grow up confused. My parents didn't want us kids to miss out on anything, and Christmas was such a fun holiday, so they saw no reason why we should not celebrate that holiday too. As a kid, I was never confused. I always knew I was Jewish, and Christmas was a fun holiday. My best friends were the 3 Rooney girls who lived next door. They were ardent Catholics, and their Christmas looked very different than ours. They had a creche on the front lawn and all the decorations honoring the traditional Christian holiday. My family would always look forward to visiting their house to see their Christmas decorations, and they would come to see ours, both looking very different with different meanings. As a kid, I remember I was never confused by this. They were Catholic and we were Jewish. My own boys never questioned the fact that we were Jewish, yet still celebrated the Christmas holiday. You know, it's funny. My kids, when they were young, they would ask their friends, "Are you Christmas or Jewish?" I wanted to do the same thing for my kids when they were born that my parents did for me. But my first husband, who was also Jewish, wouldn't entertain a Christmas tree. So that's when I started having a small tree that we called the Hanukkah bush. My second husband was Catholic, and we went back to having a Christmas tree. He always loved to have a little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. My teenage boys looked forward to shopping with him to buy and decorate that little Charlie Brown tree. It was a wonderful time, and we still have beautiful memories. Throughout my childhood and my boys' childhood, no one ever questioned why we celebrated the holidays that really were not ours to celebrate, like Christmas or Easter with Easter egg hunts. We just had family fun. I know that our holiday traditions, instead of causing confusion, taught me and my boys acceptance for all beliefs and a sense of inclusion. Everyone has a right to celebrate or not celebrate as they wish. My children and their children are open to all belief systems and hold no prejudice in their hearts and souls. I'm convinced that some of that came from the fact that there was acceptance in our house for all beliefs and religions. Anything that brings joy and families together for the holidays, that's okay with us. To this day, our families celebrate the holidays with family dinners and appreciate the love and acceptance we have for each other and everyone else. So happy holidays, everyone, regardless of how you celebrate.
I wrote this poem in 1986. Here's a little introduction to it. I imagine my parents saw me as a very great trial. For me, they were a major pain, but now I can look back and smile. It wasn't easy being them. It wasn't easy being me. But in later years, we came together. The rest is history. Left home in a hurry, the year 61 with high school diploma in hand. But in 76, children aged 10 and 11, I began to understand. All my parents ever wanted was their children's safety. While their rules were most extreme, I finally knew they loved completely. Now let me share my Christmas poem. It was a confession to my mother and daddy. When we were hiding Christmas gifts this year, I remembered a Christmas long ago. Although, dear mother and daddy, you might not remember this true story, I want you to know. One day, I needed something out of reach. Today, I don't remember why. In the basement, in front of Daddy's workbench, I climbed up on some boxes to reach up high. The boxes tumbled down, and so did I. I got up and started to fix the disarray. There they were, those precious roller skates. Imagine my thrilled surprise. And then dismay. There was no doubt what I had to do. I did my best to correct the damage done. But mother or daddy might have seen a clue. I tried to be convincing to everyone. Came Christmas and time for the special surprise. A happy gift. But with my guilt, I felt they knew. Wished I could tell them I wasn't snooping. Wished I could tell them what was really true. And so, in this poem, I finally did. Here's a little postscript. I finally understood their love. We enjoyed weekly calls until I lost them both. Today, I miss them still. Thank you.
Wow, 2 minutes of Christmas. Christmas is a 24/7 event if you have the meaning of the event in your heart. My first Christmas was in National City, California, and being that I was only 3.5 months old, I don't remember much, but I have no doubt was considered a bountiful Christmas gift and a tiny bit like the great Christmas gift of over 2,000 years ago. All life is precious that way, and especially human life. My father, Jack Clark, was a half-breed Cherokee Indian. As such, it was not easy for him to get a job, so he got into blacksmithing and shoeing horses, and thus we had the need to travel around the country, moving from track to track. We were sort of like the lost tribe of Israel and the gospel. So the first Christmas I remember was near Little Rock, Arkansas. And we lived in our trailer in a trailer park. It was set in kind of like a forest-like environment with tall trees and vines and shrubs where we had to put up our targets for us to use our bows and arrows and for the arrows to land. Being Christmas time, we decided to venture into the nearby hills to find our perfect Christmas tree. After driving around for a while, we spotted some small pine trees and we jumped out of the car and found our perfect tree that we all agreed in. My father cut down the tree with a hand axe and hauled it back to be tied on top of our car. Back in our trailer, we set out the tree in a metal bucket filled with sand, and my mother, Dolly Clark, supervised the decorating of our beautiful tree, and mostly decorated with old homespun decorations and some tinsel. No lights, we couldn't afford them, but a bright shining star to remind us of the reason for the season, Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. The next Christmas I remember was in Denver, Colorado, and my mother had taken me to the Natural History Museum. It was up a beautiful place, and we were in there probably all day. And then as it was closing, we came out and started down the stairs, and we stopped at the Mile High marker, and that's 5,260 feet above sea level. And so we sat down and we munched on a few goodies and did some talking. And as the sun set, we saw this beautiful city before us with all its Christmas colors. Because he lives, my life is precious. My journey with Christ led me to who I am and where I am. My circle of life is based on traditional Christian values and the circle of life we all follow in our own steps. I am the man I am today because of these values.
Little girls and their dolls, we remember them with fondness and smiles. You've all heard of American Dolls and Strawberry Shortcake Dolls, Barbie dolls, Cabbage Patch Dolls. But what about your first special doll? The experience of receiving my Marshall Field doll when I was noticeably young is still with me in vivid color. Funny, as special as she was, I'll be darned if I can remember her name. For as long as they lived, my parents never really knew the impact that one special gift had on me. My mom took me to Marshall Fields in Chicago. We lived 90 miles away in Milwaukee. That alone got my attention. Marshall Fields? Wow. Big city, famous store. The store was huge, so glamorous to me. Wonderful lights and smells and so many things to look at and to buy. I felt so special. I know that on that day, my mother would have worn a tailored suit or a dress, and she would have had the appropriate jewelry, high heels, and most likely a hat. She would have dressed me in a dress, no pants in those days except to play in. I knew that I would be allowed to pick out my doll, which gave me a special feeling of importance, such a grown-up adventure. She came in a red dress with blonde hair and a grown-up look. No more baby dolls for me. That Christmas, I received her and a red umbrella. As I said, I do not remember her name, but I was so excited to have her. My grandmother had made a complete wardrobe of clothes for her, all with her arthritic hands, and so much detail. Over the years, sadly, I lost track of my special doll. I wish I had kept her close and had her share her life with mine. And that I am only left with one dress that I treasure. I do wonder where the rest of her amazing wardrobe went. I wish I knew it as a child how much that doll would mean to me later in life. I know I would have taken much better care of her and never let her go. I lost sight of my childhood, my special friend, as I moved on to my teen years. There were dances and high heels and boys. Around the holidays, in my mind, I see myself walking into Marshall Fields with my mom, all things bright and beautiful, and seeing her and knowing that she would be mine.
I used to dread the holidays because painful feelings often come up on the days that we traditionally celebrate. So now I focus on the holiday season and don't put pressure on myself to make Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, or New Year's Eve fantastic. Instead, I'm grateful for the days when I'm in the holiday spirit and magical things happen that touch my heart. I focus on giving love to the friends that have become my family and on lifting up and comforting those who, like me, grew up in abuse and choose not to have contact with their family of origin, and those that need love and support because they do have contact with their family. This is my I Am Me First story. Thanksgiving '85, the last time that we met alone, you told me something I think I'd always known. You said you couldn't write me off to please your family because they didn't understand you were in love with me. I'm not sure why you said what you did, but I shouldn't have been your wife and drinking partner when I was an 8-year-old kid. On our Saturday nights, you played guitar and sang love songs to me. You may not have been a rock star, but I was your devoted groupie. Eventually, talks of my future and all I could achieve were abandoned because you couldn't bear for me to leave. My counselor convinced me to go to college in Florida where my mother was living. He didn't think I'd survive one more family Thanksgiving. 2 years later, I hit an alcoholic bottom and got sober. I doubt I'd found recovery so young if our marriage hadn't been over. One day I felt moved to work the steps like never before. So when I learned you were dying of cancer, I was ready to open that door. I flew home and made amends to you in your hospital bed. So grateful I could do it before you were dead. On the 29th of December, I got the call that you had died. I drove to a meeting, leaned on a friend, and cried. While you were alive, there was the hope that you'd get sober. But now, all dreams of our sharing recovery were over. On New Year's Eve, after your funeral, when your will was read, I learned a little more of what was in your heart and head. Although Janet and I had our differences, I loved her with all my heart and soul. I was so touched by those words and your efforts to console. Your family convinced me that I was responsible for your death because of what my leaving did to you. Eventually, I forgave myself. And now, at last, I forgive you. I love you, Daddy.
Holidays can be some of the best times a person experiences, but not always and not for everyone. My experience was that a somewhat dysfunctional family unit does not usually have great holiday memories. In fact, my youthful ones were mostly forgettable. Not because anything bad happened, they just weren't that much fun or meaningful. As I grew older, though, I saw other families that enjoyed their holidays and looked forward to them. This opened my eyes and mind to better possibilities in the future. When I married and started my own family, I made it a point to make certain days special so that my children and I could embrace the meaning of a holiday and make it special. Thanksgiving was my favorite because it was not centered on religion and we all could find things to be thankful for. My wife had 4 brothers and we had 3 children, so we had a good-sized group that enjoyed getting together at our house for a big meal, lots of talk, and good fun. I made it a tradition that we would go around the table and each person would say what they were thankful for. Corny, but when it is done with love and appreciation, it's a good thing. Today, I have a wonderful new life, but my children live far away, so the holidays have lost some of their significance. But the journey, which has included lots of bumps and bruises, has been a worthwhile one, and I am happy with the me that I am.
Oh, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only a hippopotamus will do. Don't want a doll, no dinky tinker toy. What? Oh, am I on? Is it me now? A Christmas that involves a visit to the ER is always memorable. It was 2014 and I was in Apache Junction, Arizona, visiting my sister and brother-in-law. One of the highlights was going to see the zoo lights at the Phoenix Zoo. But I didn't realize that it would be lights out for me before it was lights on at the zoo. But there you go. Shit happens, even at Christmas time. Hurry up, Diane. But no, I needed to go get my darling little Lucy, my Chihuahua, some special treats since she couldn't go with us. It was only 4 steps down into the Arizona room where the treats were. Lights? Why bother with lights? As I tumbled down the steps and ended up in a heap at the bottom, I had time to reflect on just why lights are so important. Dang, it hurt so much. When someone finally came to check on me, they took me upstairs and wrapped my wrist. My brother-in-law suggested going to the ER, but oh no, I had to go see the zoo lights because my sister wouldn't go without me. So they fashioned a sling for me out of a dish towel, and off we went. The extra strength Advil wasn't doing much for the pain. I didn't know a sprained wrist could hurt so much, but I felt relief for at least a few moments each time I looked at the most amazingly beautiful zoo lights. When we went home, someone gave me some hydrocodone. I didn't feel like it was helping too much with the pain, but it did make me sleep. A lot. I didn't even feel Lucy jumping up and down on me trying to wake me up. The next morning, I had excruciating pain. I hadn't been able to sleep, so I watched sleazy Lifetime movies all night long, waiting for my sister to wake up and take me to the ER. At the ER, they put my wrist in a temporary cast. They asked what time this morning I had fallen. This morning? Oh no, it happened at 6 p.m. last night, I told them. But we had to go see the zoo lights. One of the healthcare workers said, "Holy cow, you went through the zoo lights with a broken wrist?" Oh, broken, not sprained. That's why it hurts so much. So my sister took me home, but being a truly certified shopaholic in good standing, she asked if we could make a few stops for some sales she wanted to hit. And feeling the wonderfully dreamy effects of Percocet, I said, "Sure, I don't mind." And the rest, as they say, is history. And a happy and a somewhat drugged out Christmas.
Christmas and I have a love-hate relationship. When I was 6 years old, I immigrated to the United States. 6 months later, I was speaking English and excited about my first field trip to Gimbel's department store to see Santa Claus. We lined up for the privilege by size order. I was first to face the mysterious man in red. He was scary looking, with the fake beard that was falling off his face. His teeth were the color of apricots. He bellowed, "Ho, ho, ho, come here, little girl." He patted his knee. There was no way that I was going to sit in his lap. "I'm not a baby," I screamed out, causing mocking laughter to break out all around me. I ran towards the class mothers for protection. In the 1960s, most Italian children didn't know who Santa Claus was. That same Christmas, our tree was glorious. Mom displayed her nativity set with figurines from my father's side of the family. They've been passed around since the Renaissance from generation to generation. She had shepherds guarding the sheep and even the Magi carrying gold, frankincense, and myrrh. There was an entire village under our tree. On Christmas Day, we went to a friend's house for dinner. My sister and I played with the host's 3 children. They bragged about all the presents they found under their tree and then asked us what we got from Santa. We told them that the Befana hadn't come yet. She's due on the 12th day of Christmas, and we would not get our gifts till then. We explained how the Befana flies on her broom looking for baby Jesus, as the Magi did, leaving gifts to all the good children. Those damn kids stared at us as if we had grown 3 heads and dared to call us and the Befana dumbbells. Really? Like flying reindeer with a light bulb nose is not dumb? My sister and I retreated to where our parents sat and pouted for the rest of the miserable evening. From that Christmas on, we no longer believed in the Befana, and certainly not in Santa Claus. The magic of Christmas disappeared, along with our beloved Befana. When I grew up and moved in with my husband, we bought a Christmas tree. My mother donated ornaments from the endless boxes of decorations, as well as her Christmas village. Keith's face glowed as he helped me dress the tree. He said that he always wanted a tree, but his father, the rabbi and cantor of Americ Long Island Synagogue, would not let him have one. Keith's mother, not to be outdone by mine, gave him their family menorah. The menorah has 8 Maccabee soldiers marching towards their temple in Jerusalem. Each Maccabee holds a candle on top of their helmet, one for each night of Hanukkah. The temple holds the shamash, the 9th candle used to light all the other candles. "What's a Maccabee?" I asked Keith, and he told me about the celebration of lights, how the Maccabees fought off the Greeks that oppressed and persecuted the Jews. Eventually, they regained their temple and found 1 flask of oil to last 1 night, but by miracle, the oil lasted 8 nights. We lit all the candles on the last day of Hanukkah. I placed it by our Christmas tree to take a photo, but as soon as I took out the camera from its bags, one of the candles on a Maccabee's head set my Christmas tree on fire. Flames raced across the tree, short-circuiting the lights, sending a gray plume of smoke towards the ceiling. As I stood in horror, Keith grabbed a blanket and put the fire out. Luckily, the Christmas village was not torched. For me, Christmas is full of wonderful and humiliating memories, but I guess that's life.
Christmas is not my favorite holiday. I think mostly because it's not my holiday. I am Jewish and I consider Christmas a religious holiday. So why would somebody who is Jewish celebrate Christmas? I know, bah humbug. I consider myself a cultural Jew and participate in many rituals of my religion. I attend high holiday services, have a Passover service. Everyone in my family has had bar mitzvahs, and I celebrated my own at age 50. A most memorable cultural occasion was the passing of my son among the generations of men in my family on his way to the moil at his bris, also known as circumcision. With the kids, I made Hanukkah a big deal, mostly as an antidote to Christmas. Hanukkah is a lovely tale, but it's not of significant religious impact. And like most families, we used to vacation to visit family and friends who lived in warmer weather. Many a Christmas vacation was spent right here in Southern California while we still lived in Boston. I kept up this tradition of travel during Christmas since my retirement. In awe at the Taj Mahal in India, slightly tipsy on port on a river cruise in Portugal, a safari in South Africa, and then another safari in Tanzania on the Serengeti. Also, Reykjavik, Iceland, freezing my ass off. Far-flung travel became my personal antidote to Christmas. But why did I seek it? Of course, as a psychologist, I looked inward and thought about my childhood. At a young age, I was told it was a Christmas holiday celebrating the birth of Jesus, and really not much else. Who is Jesus? And a baby to boot? I was curious and also a bit jealous about my Bronx-based view of Catholicism. Why didn't I get to dress up in a little white bridal dress? No Easter bonnet for me. What about Santa Claus and all those presents? And why was I chased by the boys from the local parochial school telling me that I killed Christ? Who were those women dressed up in big black garb, white collars, and long black dresses? And why did they hit kids with rulers? Why are there crosses everywhere? And what did they mean? Crucifixion was very scary. I realized it was as simple as my travel providing me with an antidote to the all-encompassing celebration that I find uniquely American. So I get on the road to far-flung places. When Christmas is celebrated abroad, I can see the direct line to the religious significance of the holiday, and I don't get asked to participate. That doesn't happen here amid the commercialism. Abroad, I can get distance from the forced good cheer of the American holiday and good cheer that is expected of me. So as a Jew, I still don't understand why I would celebrate Christmas. You may think me a Scrooge, but I am me.
I think we all have memories of those special Christmases. Was it a special gift? Was it a gathering of special family or friends? I've had more than my share of both, but tonight it's about a special gift. First and foremost, I would like to establish with pride that I'm 100% Italiano, a fact completely confirmed by Ancestry.com. My given name is Carla Jean Camerata, firstborn to first-generation Italian Americans Russolino and Gilda Camerata. My father was pure Sicilian, and my mother's family came from Abruzzi near Rome. I remember my parents had several playful discussions about who between them was the true Italian. It was my first ever Christmas in 1949. I was born 3 months earlier on September 23rd. I was the first female born in a long line of males from both sides of the family, so my first Christmas prompted a huge gathering of inquisitive relatives. There was a bounty of delicious food, and of course, my grandfather's homemade wine. There was antipasti, pizza, pasta, cannoli, pizzelles. Yes, it was a typical Italian celebration. Did I mention there was a lot of food? Amid all the family festivities, the eating, the drinking, the loudness, the laughter, my parents gave me my very first special Christmas gift. It was a beautiful Madame Alexander doll. She was actually bigger than me. I have a picture of my mother with the doll and me on that first Christmas day. The look I gave to the camera on that special day depicted me as being rather blasé with the whole thing. This doll was never to be a play doll that I would dress up or have tea parties with. Oh no, there were other dolls I would receive later for that. My mother had the foresight to instill that in me. Madame Alexander was either neatly or ever so gently boxed away in my closet or on display in my room, depending on the phase of my life at that moment. One thing for sure, that she was a constant. I'm a very nostalgic person. I keep things. I have friends, cards, Beatle memorabilia, letters, ticket stubs, dance programs, and even cookbooks that date as far back as grade school. These things are all very dear to me, and they are a part of me, a part of who I am. My beautiful doll has withstood the test of time, like me, and in this phase of my life, she is permanently and prominently displayed in my sunroom, along with the treasured picture of me, my mom, and the doll. I am certainly not blasé about the doll anymore. When I look at her, it makes me smile. It is warm, comforting, and to me, also very special. She has gone the distance with me. Ah, such sweet memories.
Growing up in Queens, New York during the 1950s was a different world than what we have here today in Orange County. We didn't have a lot of money, but then we didn't know anybody who did. My mom didn't work, but then no mothers worked. We didn't eat out, but then few people ate out. There was no fast food, and we never ate ethnic food because God alone knows what they put in Chinese food, and everyone knew that Italian food was just tomatoes and garlic. Lots and lots of garlic. But we had Christmas in New York, the most magical time in the most magical place. Each year we would take the IRT to the New York Public Library, walk to my daddy's office at 45th and 5th, pick him up, and go to the basement for our annual Christmas treat. Dinner at the automat. A fistful of nickels placed into the slot, a knob turned, a window opened, and there was your food. We spent more time deciding what to choose than actually eating. Then we did the walk along Fifth Avenue from 45th to 34th, stopping to look at all the store windows with their Christmas displays. Toys that move, dummies dressed in old clothing, Santas who talked, sleighs that flew through the air, carolers who sang. Pure magic. Each department store tried to outdo the other, to the delight of all of us who stood outside. After feasting our eyes, arguing which store was the best, which was the worst, and trying to stay warm, we would descend into the subway and begin our journey home. Christmas dinner was at our grandmother's or one of our aunts. My father hated spending the holidays with my mom's family. He didn't like them, they didn't like him. And none of my mom's family were good cooks. I never knew how good food could taste until I went away to college. When Dave and I married and had kids, we continued the tradition of a Christmas meal out. Living in Los Angeles, we had no automat. We had the Bonaventure. We had no store windows to check out, but we did have the glass elevator to ride and the program at the music center to top it all off. Our Christmas dinners with our kids included my husband's family, and we had lumpia, homemade ravioli, and enchiladas. Quite a change from what was dished up when I was young. Now our children continue the tradition of a family Christmas outing. In San Francisco, the grandkids ice skate, and then we go to the Ferry Building to eat. In Boston, we go to the Christmas Eve candlelight service, and then we have a turkey dinner. No matter whether East or West Coast, restaurants or home-cooked meals, good or not so good cooks, the things that make me who I am today and make me smile are all my holiday memories with my family.
So my housemate, Noe, has lived with me for 19 years. Noe and I are not partners, but we are very close. He moved in with me in 2002 when he was only 21 years old. He is now 39 and I am 78. That makes us 39 years apart. We are both very independent, but together we are like family. Noe is from Guadalajara, Mexico. Some of his family live here in California, but most of his family live in Mexico. At any rate, Noe and I almost always spend our Christmas holidays at home. We always go all out decorating our house and our 8-foot Christmas tree. The house is always very festive. Sometimes Noe's mom, Luz, will fly in from Guadalajara to celebrate Christmas with us. She usually stays several weeks. She's a very nice lady who dresses well and is a fabulous cook. We look forward to tasting all of her wonderful Mexican dishes. We really enjoy her company, and she always makes herself at home. She is very proper, but has a great sense of humor. She does not speak any English, and I can hardly speak any Spanish. However, Luz and I always seem to get along famously, and she usually stays several weeks with us when she comes to visit. Anyway, we always open our gifts on Christmas morning. So nice to have a fire in the fireplace, candles lit, and many beautiful wrapped gifts under the tree. In 2018, Luz came to visit us for the holidays. She always brings gifts with her to share under the tree. On this Christmas morning, Noe, Luz, and I gathered in the living room, scissors in hand, ready to open our gifts. Noe was handing out presents, and he gave me a small gift box from Luz. It's always exciting to see what Luz has brought from Mexico. So I began to unwrap the box. To my surprise, I pulled out a ceramic mug with a naked lady for the handle and a rather large breast for the cup. Yes, a woman's breast. Was I surprised? I looked at Luz with a puzzled expression on my face, and she started to laugh. Then I started to laugh. Then we all started laughing hysterically. I thought I would die laughing so hard. It was so funny to think that Luz, of all people, had brought this crazy mug all the way from Mexico to me. It was certainly something I had least expected from her, which goes to show you that humor is definitely an international language. To this day, I still have that crazy mug, and it will always remind me of our 2018 Christmas with Noe's mom. Here is the mug. Merry Christmas!